Right, welcome back to another video. As you see in the title, we're going to go head to head on a Mauser M18 and a Tikka T3X. I might have to zoom that bloody camera out a little bit so you can see what the fucking hell that we're looking at with these gats. Alright, so when it comes to weight, the Mauser weighs in at 3 kilos for the Magnum version, and the Tikka, in a comparable size, as in it can fire a 300 Win Mag, comes in at 2.8 kilos. So already the Tikka is a little bit lighter. That's both with 24-inch barrels, etc, etc. Let's talk about the barrel real quick. Let's have our Mauser here for a second. At the muzzle here, they are both 16.5 millimeters. They both have the same profile. Now the two versions I've got, the Mauser here is black nitrided, which means it's almost like Cerakote. It's a good finish that doesn't rust. On some older models of the M18, they are blued and not black nitrided, so keep an eye out for that. However, the Tikka in the version I have is blued. Obviously in a Tikka though, you can get it in stainless. You can't get a M18 in stainless. They both have 11-degree target crowns. That's not going to focus. There you go. So that's about it with the barrels. They're pretty similar. Same profile, etc, etc. Alright, let's go on with the actions. So we'll bring out the Tikka here. Everyone's pretty familiar with a Tikka action. We have a 2-lug bolt with a 70-degree lift, so it's not actually too bad. And everyone knows how smooth Tikkas are. One thing I fucking hate about Tikka owners is every single one of them says it's buttery smooth. Get a different saying. Fucking shits me. Buttery smooth. Buttery fucking smooth. It is smooth though. With the Tikka as well, you have, it's not round, it's a squared edge receiver. And one thing I don't particularly like about it is you have the dovetail on top, which fits your Sarco Opti-locks. And yeah, some of the rings, we'll get into the rings a little bit later, but that to me is a little bit odd. Safety, 2-position safety on the Tikka, which will lock your bolt. So it's either on safe and everything locked, or you're on fire and everything is unlocked. On the Mauser, our safety is 3-position, so it's it's either on fire, all the way back to everything's locked, or one forward where it's unlocked and safe, and you can cycle it on safe. I've never understood the idea behind that, because it doesn't quite make sense in my brain, because your trigger finger is off the trigger when you cycle it to clear it anyway, because you wouldn't be clearing it like this, because your fucking hand's in the way. So I fully don't understand it, but you know, some people really froth that, so that's their opinions. Right, so while we're talking about the Mauser's receiver, let's talk about the bolt. It's a 3-lug bolt, and as such, the bolt lift is almost fuck all. It's about 60 degrees. Might even be less than that. As you can see, it comes up perfectly horizontal. Actually makes it quite quick. Not as smooth as the Tikka, but still quite smooth. And it has double plungers on the ejector. When it comes to triggers, I would say that the way they function are both pretty much identical. However, the Mauser trigger is polymer. Some people have an issue with that. I personally don't. And the adjustment for the Mauser is quite easy. It's a little Allen wrench, accessible from the outside. And the Tikka triggers, everyone knows Tikka triggers are fairly good. So they're both good. I would say the Mauser trigger in its adjustability is better, but the Tikka trigger is better overall. Alright, let's talk about the magazines real quick. Alright, everyone knows what a Tikka magazine looks like. 3 rounds stacked. You can get 5, which is bigger. Oh, hello, May, up on the couch there. Hey, girl. And the Mauser, we have a 4-round polymer magazine. So it's slightly shorter in that profile, but wider in that profile. So 4 rounds versus 3 rounds, but they are both polymer. They both function fairly well. So much of a muchness, I would give that to the Mauser being 4 rounds instead of 3. Right, everyone knows that Tikka stocks are fairly good for what they are. You do have the replaceable bloody pistol grip there, and you can add extra to there. The butt pads on these are a bit shit. Notoriously, people don't like those. But obviously better than other guns you can get at a similar price point. I personally don't have a drama with the Tikka stock. It's fairly rigid. I do like the Mauser stock a little bit better. I like the geometry of the semi-pistol grip. It is very rigid. One thing I don't like about it though is I don't know if you can see that, there's a rubber insert along here and a rubber insert along here. When you first get them, they're quite good. They degrade rapidly over time. Particularly, this is a second-hand rifle one. When I bought it, it looks like someone's put Hoppy's number 9 all over the stock, and all the rubber is just a little bit poo. It's not worn off or anything, it just doesn't feel nice. The recoil pad on this is very much like the Tikka one, however it is shaped a little bit differently, which I think is better. One thing I think is a bit gimmicky on this stock, which I really don't like, is that pop it off and store a fucking cleaning rod in there or ball snake or whatever. I think that's very gimmicky, and it does annoy me, particularly out hunting when it's doing that every 5 seconds. So in terms of the stock, I would give that point to the Tikka. Now build quality, I think build quality, if we're talking about the barrel and action, are both on par. I think they're both excellent quality for particularly the price you pay for them. Yeah, I think in terms of build quality, I would put them both as ticking up a point. They're both excellent. I like them both build quality wise. Yeah, not much to say about that. Now, let's talk about the aftermarket support, because this is really what separates these two. The Tikka has become well known as a very good hunting rifle. The Mauser has sort of been on the scene for a few years, but it's not as popular, and as such, it doesn't have the aftermarket support. So what can you expect out of the Mauser M18? The receiver is set for Remington 700 scope bases and rings. So obviously Remington 700 being pretty much the most prolific rifle in the world, you will never have a shortage of finding attachments to fit on top of the rifle with that. With the Tikka, you don't have as many options when it comes to scope rings. You do have the Optilocks from Sarco, but then you don't really have that many other, like you've got all like Loophole makes them and a few other things, but it's just not as prolific as the Remington 700 style. So yeah, if it was talking about rings, it would go to the Mauser M18. Not so much the Tikka. However, Tikka stuff is becoming more and more popular. Aftermarket triggers. Yep, you can get aftermarket triggers for Tikka. You can't get aftermarket triggers for the Mauser M18 as far as I'm aware. However, the Mauser M18 in its barreled action is actually just a CR100. So if you can find CR100 stuff, it will fit the Mauser M18, except for the stocks. The stocks are slightly different. So yeah, that becomes an issue. You can't just grab a carbon fiber CR101 stock and fit it to a Mauser M18. Doesn't quite work like that. And while we're on the topic of carbon fiber stocks, you can buy an aftermarket carbon fiber or fiberglass stock for a Tikka, and you cannot for an M18. How do I rate both these rifles? I think both these rifles are excellent for hunting. I think if you want to buy just a cheap-ish, buy it, forget about it, never do any sort of upgrades. You're not a tinkerer, you just want to buy a rifle that's good for hunting. Definitely look at the Mauser M18. It's a very good hunting rifle. I do enjoy them. If you are a tinkerer, however, and you like to change things, like you want to change the stock, you want to change the trigger, all that sort of stuff, you should probably look at getting a Tikka. So there you have it, boys and girls. That is my breakdown of the Mauser M18 versus the Tikka T3X. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of that. And I will see you next video. Hooroo.